Good afternoon, Doña County, or as I like to say, hello, Doña County. This is Anita Skipper, your Public Information Officer for the county, and welcome back to another episode of Hello, Doña County. Today, as we teased for the last day or so, we are speaking about the 2023 Student Internship Program. Yay! So many of you were asking, is it happening again? Is it happening again? And the answer is yes, if you have not heard already. And I have two guests here today who are going to go into more detail about this year's Student Internship Program. And we are available to answer your questions. So if you are tuning in and you have questions, this is a great time to ask those questions. If you know someone who is interested, tag them, call them, send a pigeon, whatever you need to do to let them know that we are live and we are taking your questions. So I'll start out introducing my guest to the right. For those of you who were part of the Student Internship Program last year, she should be no stranger to you, but she is the Program Supervisor of this year's Student Internship Program, Ms. Lani Davis. Thank you for being here today, Lani.
It's a pleasure, Anita. It's good to be back.
Yes, we're glad to have you back. And then to my left, we have a guest that maybe many of you have not seen before, but she is very important to the operations here at Doña County. And that is Ms. Sandra Bali, and she is an HR administrator here with the county.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
And Sandra is going to make sure for those of you who need to hear the information in Spanish, we're going to do English and Spanish. So this is new for us today, but we've heard you and we understand that we have a diverse community and a lot of Spanish speakers, native Spanish speakers, and we want to make sure that this information goes out to everyone who needs it. So again, thank you for tuning in, and we're going to jump right in. Ladies, you ready?
We're ready.
Okay, so the Student Internship Program, if you're watching this and you are not familiar with the Student Internship Program, let me just give you a quick overview of what's happening here. The New Mexico Public Education Department gives a certain amount of money to the county to run this student internship program. It is for high school students only, ages 15 and up, and that includes a graduating senior. So if you are graduating in 2023, you are also eligible before you go off to college. So keep that in mind. This program, the county is the fiduciary of the funds. You would in essence be a county employee, and you would submit an application to work for the summer. You're able to work up to, on average, 20 hours a week for a maximum of $3,000 for the summer. Once you submit your application, if you have particular interests, we do our best to try to accommodate those interests and pair you with a business in the community that might help you gain some experience in your area of interest. If you are young in your job experience, you may just say, I'm open. And so that gives us some flexibility to be able to pair you with something we think would be a good fit for you. But this really is a partnership, right, Lani?
That is correct.
So listen in. If you just heard something in the last 45 seconds that I said that piqued your interest, or you thought about someone popped in your head and said, oh my goodness, they need to know about this, then definitely stay tuned to this conversation. Okay, so ladies, how'd I do with the overview?
That sounds perfect.
Okay, so let's talk about the Student Internship Program, and I really want to delve into some of the things that happened last year. I think the best way to learn about the information that's needed and that people care about is to figure out what we got the most calls for. What were the most frequently asked questions from last year? So I remember the 15-year-old, the insertion of the 15-year-old, yes, because the first year we did this program, you had to be 16 years old.
That is correct, yes.
And then we increased it to 15. So let's talk about, I'm a parent, I'm listening to this conversation, and I have a 15-year-old, and they need to get out of my house this summer and get a job. So Lani, tell me, if I have a 15-year-old, what's unique about how they need to apply and what they need to bring to the table?
Well, to begin with, we would definitely like to have your 15-year-old kids in our program. The only thing that we will need is a waiver. It's a work permit that you get from the Department of Workforce Solutions. However, we will have the form attached to your application form, and it's a very simple application form. All you'll need is to complete your name, address, the signature of your parent or your guardian, and your signature. Once that's done, you give that form to us on your orientation. You do not have to go and have it signed by the Department of Workforce Solutions.
Okay,
we're
so
making
that's
things
different.
easy for you.
Yeah, that's different.
Yes.
Yeah, so we work to improve each year. So let's bring Sandra into this conversation. So again, I am a native Spanish speaker, or Spanish is my first language, and Anita just said something about 15-year-olds, and I have a 15-year-old at home. So what is it that I need to know about my 15-year-old and how they can apply to be an intern?
Sí, lo que estaba diciendo Lani y Anita al mismo tiempo es el primer año nosotros decidimos no aceptar estudiantes de 15 años, pero escuchamos todas las recomendaciones y los estudiantes de 15 años son suficientemente maduros para trabajar. Los recibimos el año pasado. Al inicio ellos estaban tramitando el documento por su cuenta y como Lani dice, ahora el condado lo tramita por ellos. Lo único que tienen que hacer, la forma o el formulario requerido va a estar con la aplicación. Ellos tienen que llenar el formulario, los padres tienen que firmar el formulario y el día de orientación lo traen con nosotros y Lani y su equipo lo van a procesar directamente con el Departamento de Workforce Solutions.
Great. So you see, we hear your feedback. Our goal here is to employ as many young people in our community as possible. So any way that we can improve this program, each year we've learned something, and we're building upon what we did the previous year, including the number of students that we are taking. Now, you guys, this program has been so popular, and we are thankful for that partnership with New Mexico Public Education Department. But they love what we are doing here in Doña County, so much so that they continue to invest in this program, in our young people, and in our community, and in essence, in our businesses, because these resources actually pay your salary. So if you're listening and you're a business owner and you're interested in having some staff support for the summer, you can request an intern or more, and the salary, the insurance, workers' comp, all of that is paid through the county. So Lani, let's talk about how many students are we on average looking to help this year? I know that's a moving target.
It is.
Because we have a hard time saying no to anyone who wants to gain some job experience and be a part of this program. But do you have in your mind a number that we started out with?
Well, let's start. This is our third year that the county has been sending high school students to internship. Our first year, and this was our first year, we had a robust goal, and we achieved 520 students at that time. And then last year, since we opened it up to 15-year-old children, our goal, and we completed 850 students.
That's a big increase from 520 to 850.
That's a big increase, but hold your horses.
And you're here again.
I know. Hold your horses. Our goal this year, well, initially it was 1,000, and then it moved to 1,100, and then it moved to 1,200. But we are trying to put everybody to work. As long as the application form is complete, and if we have a business partner that will sponsor the child, we will put them to work this year.
That is great to hear, because Sandra, think about it. So I heard, did you hear what Lani said? She said, as long as we need to make sure we underscore it's about the business partners. Our goal, we have to match the interested student with the business opportunity, the job opportunity. And so business owners, we need you. Please call us if you can take more than one or two and give someone some valuable work experience. Now, we really want to emphasize valuable work experience. These are things that these students can put on their resumes. You may be the first introduction to their idea of what they may want to do in their careers. And so be mindful of that as you are coming up with job descriptions and the type of work you would have them doing. But we need you. This program is not as successful if we don't have the placements. So, Sandra, if there are some businesses out there, they may think, oh, well, we primarily speak in Spanish here. I'm sure we have students who do as well. So what should those businesses do if they have opportunities for students?
Sí, por supuesto, nosotros estamos tratando de que todo el dinero se quede en Nuevo México. Entonces, cualquier negocio, incluso que sea muy pequeño, puede aplicar directamente en la página doñanacounty.org. Hay un formulario y hay unas preguntas que tienen que contestar. Y como Anita, tú dijiste muy bien, debe de ser trabajo que sea bueno para ellos, no nada más lo que nadie quiere hacer. Tiene que ser algo que sea de buen uso para ellos. Muchos de nuestros estudiantes han entrado a sus negocios y han cambiado incluso su carrera. Entonces, la encuesta tiene preguntas para ellos y also les pregunta qué proyecto van a asignar a los chicos, a nuestros estudiantes. Y si es aprobado, que es muy fácil de ser aprobado, pero tiene que haber un proyecto específico para los estudiantes. El único paso, igual que los coordinadores y los estudiantes, tienen que ir a doñanacounty.org y escoger la liga correcta para ellos.
Thank you. So let's mention, you have some people who've participated in this program in the last year or two.
That's right.
So they know it's a real thing. They know, let's go ahead and get this started. School's almost out. What if I still haven't applied yet? Let's talk about, have you received applications?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
yes.
You just said 1,200 is the number, or was the number.
Correct.
Can you just share some insight into how many applications have we received so far?
Well, we are very lucky. As of this morning, we had 1,376 applications on our site.
So, but if you hear that, don't be discouraged, because you also heard them say our goal is to place all students. And every application, unfortunately, will not go through this process. So if you are listening and you have not submitted your application yet, please make sure that you are as thorough as possible and fill in all the requirements, because we are the fiduciaries of these resources. We have to follow all the steps from NMPED as well to make sure that we are showing that we are good stewards of the money that they're allowing to come into this community. So over 1,300 applications so far. But don't let that deter you from still submitting your application, because these businesses who are listening are going to continue to submit their requests as well. So as long as we can make a match with a student and a business, we will continue to place as many students as we can. And just because you hear 1,300 students doesn't mean that 1,300 students will follow through with everything that's required to becoming an intern, including orientation. So is orientation mandatory if you are going to be an intern this summer?
¿En español?
En español, please.
Sí, la orientación es el paso más importante, porque es cuando nosotros realmente estamos contratando al interno. Como tú dijiste, el condado él es el que va a emplear a los estudiantes, entonces tiene que pasar como cualquier empleado por el proceso de contratación, incluyendo identificaciones, formularios. Si vienen a orientación, es el día que los vamos a contratar.
Okay.
And in addition to that, it is important for them to attend the orientation, because then they will be submitting their I-9 documents with their original documents, along with, if they were a 15-year-old, then that is the time that they will submit their signed and completed work permit, along with their birth certificate as proof of their age. So it is important and crucial for them to attend any one of the orientations that we have scheduled for the interns.
And we will go more into those orientations here in a second, because we are having many opportunities for the students to attend orientation. Let's talk, though, if someone's listening and they heard you say I-9 and they may not know what that is. So can you talk plainly about, why is an I-9 necessary?
As an employee of the county, it is a federal law that everybody must show their right to work in the United States. And it is a federal law. It's not a county law. It's not an NMPED law. It is a federal law. So in order for us to put you to work, we will need some necessary documents to show that you can work in the United States. Things like a passport, a U.S. passport, or a school ID, or a social security card. Those who have applied, I'm sure, would have seen the list of documents that is acceptable for verification of employment.
And can you echo that for us, Sandra?
Sí, claro, como les decía, tienen que ir por un proceso de contratación y la forma que Lani estaba describiendo es llamada la I-9 y es la forma que se tiene que llenar el día de que se contrata. Los documentos tienen que ser en original y nosotros no podemos pedir un documento en específico. Hay una lista, de hecho, con 3 columnas con todas las opciones que pueden presentar. Por ejemplo, si escogen un documento de la columna 1, como es el pasaporte, con ese documento tienen. Pero si escogen documentos de columna 2 y 3, tendría que ser como un ejemplo, la licencia de manejar y el seguro social. So, el estudiante decide qué presentar, pero es basado en esos documentos. Y tenemos que recibir originales porque verificamos que los estamos copiando. Eso verifica que están legalmente autorizados a trabajar.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, I want to address, had some questions come in, so while we're on the topic of orientation, I want to just respond to this question. My student or child went through orientation last year. Do they need to again this year?
Unfortunately, yes.
Fortunately, yes. Because?
Well, in this application, because now we will need to re-verify your documents to work in the United States. And we have done some enhancements on the program, and we will address that over during orientation. So it's really, really crucial for you. Probably you'll meet some of your coordinators at that time, and you'll definitely meet the student internship team. So we'd love to meet you, and please attend any of the orientations that we have scheduled.
And I think this is a good time to point out that this internship is giving our young people an opportunity to experience a real life job experience. And when you go to apply at a new job, you are required to submit certain documents. So this is actually practice for you. So I hope you all aren't looking at this as some sort of hassle. And to be honest, we actually look at each year as a separate program. So we're not carrying over your information because, oh, they were here last year and so we have your documents. Each year we are granted the opportunity to move forward with this program. And so we have to treat it like a new program each year. So even if you were here the previous year or the year before that, look at this as a new program where we need your information, a new form of registration or something when you're starting a job, or orientation when you're starting a job. Even here, you will be a county employee. And I can tell you, as a person who is a part of our new employee orientation here at the county, there are often employees who were already working in the building, but if they change jobs, they still go through orientation again, and they were already working here. So things change. There's new information that needs to be released. And so please do not feel like you can skip orientation. We want to prepare you for the best job experience possible, and that starts with orientation.
Anita, I've got good news for them. It will be a paid orientation.
Say that again.
The orientation will be paid.
So that is your first day of the job.
That is
coming to
correct.
orientate. We're paying you to learn how to go make more money.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
Yes.
I love that. I love that addition. So that's great. Not only are you coming, but we value your time. So you will be paid to be here as well. So look at orientation as your first day on the job. Okay, so we did address that question. We've had a couple of other questions of people who said, my child, my student, someone I know has applied, but they haven't heard back yet. So how do we respond to that? Can you talk about what that process is if someone believes they've applied and hasn't heard back yet?
Well, as I mentioned, we have over 1,300 applications, and it is crucial for us to go through each and every application. We want to make sure that the application is correct. We want to make sure that if you are 15-year-old, then we will need to send additional documents to you. So we're in that process. I think this is our first week that we're going through identifying each and every application form. So it is the hope that we should be done with this process by next week, and then orientation comes about. And once you've completed and presented all of your verification of employment, your I-9 form, you will be hearing from us as to when and where you will start and where you're going.
And Sandra, so Lani just said we're going through that process, so they should be patient, right?
Como todos los años empezamos procesando más de 600 o 700 y estamos aprendiendo un proceso que es inmensamente grande para nosotros. Por supuesto, les pedimos su paciencia. Tenemos bastantes orientaciones disponibles, pero cada orientación tiene al menos 100 estudiantes. Vengan preparados para pasarse el tiempo que les decimos y nosotros siempre nos quedamos para contestar cualquier pregunta.
Okay. Thank you. So I remember last year we had situations where people had applied and they didn't hear back, and you can understand as a young person, this may be your first job or you're just really excited. You want to have something immediately when school ends. And so sometimes those students had already taken other opportunities when we got around to calling them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and we understand, but someone will contact you. Mm-hmm. And if you're still willing and available to work, then that opportunity would be there. And by that time, that also means that business is expecting you to start working. So if for some reason you are no longer interested in working and you have applied, it would be a nice courtesy if you contacted us and let us know, so that we are not holding a position for you or that a business is not expecting you as an employee. But we understand that parents and students have to do what they have to do. But just know, if you're on the list, if you've applied, someone will be contacting you, including if something is missing. Is that correct?
Oh, exactly. And I'm sure we've made a lot of phone calls already, correcting their emails, verifying their date of birth. So we've made a lot of phone calls, and we go through this application one by one. And even though our team is about 5 or 6 right now, we still want to make sure that we go diligently and making sure that all of the application is correct and that it's been cleared to go onboarding.
You just said something that I thought about from last year that was an issue. We had it on the application, but it still happened. So let's just put a word of caution out there. What is the preferred email that should be listed on an application?
Last year, we had a lot of situations where we couldn't reach the students because they listed their school email address, gisd.com, lcps.net. And so during summertime, most of the school districts deactivate these emails. So we have, in the application form, we have strictly mentioned that we would prefer your personal email and not of the school district's email. And that way, I know we'll be able to reach out to you more. The other addition that we did this year is we'd like to get information on emergency contacts. So in case we cannot reach you through your email or your personal email or your phone number, then we are also reaching out to your parent or your guardian as well. And that's already included in our application form this year.
That's great, because I remember getting up people saying, I didn't receive it. So that's good that we have definitely looked for that backup, because a lot of times it's the parent calling us saying, we haven't heard anything.
Exactly.
So if you know that you're going to be paying more attention to this than your student, please definitely include your contact information. So another question has just come in. What is the deadline to apply? Ooh, everybody wants to know that. It's now. It's yesterday. We have 1,300 applicants, right? Apply now. Don't wait.
That's right.
But do we have an official response to that?
No, we do not. We're going to keep it open.
We don't really set a deadline, because our goal is to place as many students as possible. So if the applications keep coming in and we still have the businesses to match you, we will continue to do that. But keep in mind, the later you apply, the shorter your period of working is. So if you're interested, you want to submit your information now before the official day of orientation starts, so that you can maximize that $3,000 potential for the summer.
So ideally, we'd like to have students start on the 22nd, or seniors. Seniors who have graduated in May are pretty much ready to start working in the program about the 22nd or probably the 26th. We have several businesses who are requesting during the Memorial Weekend that's coming up. But I guess majority would definitely start around the 2nd of June. So that's where we're looking to fill, but the sooner you apply, the sooner we can place you. Remember, the early bird
gets the internship. And so that also brings up something else when we're talking about businesses. And I'm remembering these because I get the posts on Facebook when you guys have all these questions. So I remember running across the hall getting answers to your questions last year. So this is another thing. Let's talk about transportation. Our goal with this program is to place students in their communities. But what we realize is that may not always be possible, which on one hand, it's critical for businesses in every community to request interns so that we can accommodate students, especially in the outlying areas, the smaller communities where they may not be on a bus line. It would be great if students had businesses in their community. But toward the middle to end last year, we had businesses in Las Cruces, but people who didn't live in Las Cruces. And so talk about what happens, Sandra, if you're still waiting to be placed, but there are no businesses left in your particular community. What should a student do in that case, or what options do they have?
Pues tratamos de ponerlos en el lugar donde viven, pero como tú dices, las comunidades son más pequeñas y los negocios, o a lo mejor los negocios no saben que estamos esperando por ellos. Esperamos que este año sean más. Hay lugares disponibles en Las Cruces, pero los estudiantes tendrían que manejar, digamos, de Santa Teresa, Hash, Chaparral, a Gasten, pero preferimos que busquen lugares en su comunidad. Si saben de alguien que está buscando, en lugar de usar las vacantes que tenemos en Las Cruces, una sugerencia es, recomiendo este negocio. Si no se puede, la meta es que si tienen alguien que los maneje, o si ya saben manejar y tienen el permiso para manejar, ellos pueden venir a llenar las vacantes en Las Cruces. Mi recomendación es tratar de buscar negocios en su comunidad, pero sí fue un gran reto el año pasado.
Very good, which is true. And also, let's talk about, Lani, not only can they drive if they have the ability to do so, but let's talk about bus passes. Are we providing transportation for students who may not have their license or the ability to drive or have consistent transportation?
Yes, we will provide bus passes for those individuals who cannot drive or have no means of transportation. But yes, bus passes will be provided to each and every student intern.
Now, it's important to keep in mind, though, we realize that all areas of the county may not be on a bus line. So we understand that. So please consider your situation. Parents, when you're applying, consider the transportation options and what's available and what might be best for your student. But just know that we are trying to think of all the ways to accommodate the students to make this as easy as possible.
Yeah, we try as much as possible to make sure that you are assigned in your locale. What we're also doing this year is that in the Gadsden district, it's a huge district. You've got Chaparral, you've got Anthony, you've got Santa Teresa, and then you've got, it's so huge. Last year, we kind of were not familiar with the area, and we would sometimes put somebody from Chaparral to an Anthony location, and it was not feasible for that student intern. Well, this year, we have hired a coordinator who is very familiar with the Gadsden School District and will assist us in matching the student interns with the respective business partner. So hopefully it should be, it should definitely be in very near where you live.
Right. And just to underscore what you said, by not being familiar is often people who live in a certain neighborhood have a better understanding of how far something may be to the next location. Like from our viewpoint, you're all in the county and our job is to help you find somewhere in the county. And we really were just so excited when a business would call.
Yes.
And we were like, oh, we have another one. And we have a student that sometimes it might have escaped us or we didn't know it wasn't feasible until you all contacted us because we don't know your transportation options and how far you are and all of that. So I'm glad to see that we've added that improvement as well. And we do that with a lot of our programs in the county with our Health and Human Services Department. We understand how important it is to have people from the community who can talk about those little details that if you're not specifically from a neighborhood, you may not know. And so I'm glad to see that we've made that improvement as well to make sure that we can tailor this and be as considerate in the placement as possible when we go through this. So let's see if I have any other questions. Is there anybody else out there? Okay, looks like another question is coming in, but definitely give us your questions. We want to make sure that any barriers to applying are removed after today because we're addressing them. So here's a question. If students have a pre-planned vacation for 1 week, how will that be handled? We all have pre-planned vacations, don't we?
Everybody has a pre-plan. Yes, it's summer and it's your summer vacation too.
Yes.
And so we're really open to that as long as you let us know what those dates are. So when we place you with the business partner, then we will inform them, okay, you've got a great student intern, but they have a pre-planned vacation. Will that be okay for you? And once they said, okay, you're good to go and work and enjoy your vacation and come back to an assignment that you love doing in the first place.
Yes, don't go enjoy that vacation so long that you forget that you have a job. But so Sandra, pre-planned vacations?
Sí, como decía Lani, somos muy flexibles con los horarios porque la meta es que completen 200 horas. Incluso pueden trabajar un poquito más de 20, que es la recomendada carga por semana. Digamos que se van una semana entera, la siguiente semana o la anterior pueden trabajar esas extra horas. Nosotros queremos que tengan la ventaja de ganar los $3,000 y que completen las 200 horas, incluso si tienen un plan de viaje.
That's exactly right. And you all remember, we said this is a real life job experience. So if I am looking to start a new job, during my application process, or at least the early part of me being hired, I am going to say, look, I already have an anniversary scheduled to go to Africa for 2 weeks at this time. I'm going to notify my job, my employer, as soon as possible. This is real life. You would do the same. But also keep in mind that we said on average you're working 20 hours a week. We do realize this is your summer vacation.
Yes.
And so we didn't. A real life situation for us is 40 hours plus a week. And we're not requiring that for you to participate because we also realize you have vacations. Your families wait for the summer to go on vacation. You also may have other extracurricular activities, going to summer camps, doing other things like that. And so we thought about that with this program so that it didn't occupy your whole summer. That might not be fun if I'm in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We have some more questions here. On the application, can they ask for a specific placement?
Okay. They're welcome to make that placement so that we want to make sure that if that's where you want to go, then we could make that arrangement. However, most of the business partners would identify the interns that they would like to bring back or would like to sponsor. So if you know the business partner or the company where you'd like to work, and if you worked there previously, then I would definitely make sure that you give them a call and say, don't forget to put my name as the intern for this particular internship program. Yeah.
So that's good. And I want to add to that, Lani. So someone, I believe you're asking, okay, so I'm not sure if these two questions are connected about requesting a specific placement, but it is on the business of who they want. Again, we're back to real life experience. That business wants to interview you. That business wants to know who they're hiring. It's not just on the county to say, oh, I'm sending Anita here and Lani here and Sandra here. They are going to choose the best fit. That's what happens in real life. Who is most qualified and who is the best fit for our location. So we can't just say, Anita wants to work here, so you're going to take Anita. They have whatever their process is to bring you on board with their business. But there's another question here. It says a person wants to work at a particular high school and they do not drive. So as Lani said, we will make every attempt to get you as close as possible to your neighborhood, especially if you do not drive. And I hope if you've already applied, you listed on your application what your preference is and your reason. And I know they will work to accommodate that where possible. Right?
Así es. Y como Lani decía, hay líneas establecidas y si alguna de esas líneas de autobuses lo lleva a la escuela, ellos pueden usar su ID para entrar al autobús y tomar ventaja de las rutas establecidas.
Okay, yeah. So again, and I don't know the she doesn't drive part, so the person wants to work at Gadsden, as Sandra just said. Remember, we give you a bus pass. So even if you don't drive, we can help you get to a different location if for some reason there's no availability at Gadsden. But like Lani said, if you've worked there before, and they liked you, more than likely they're calling us back and saying, I want Anita to come back. We have a lot of that. Yes. Where the businesses will request the intern by name. So I hope that answered your question. Okay, so let's move on to coordinators. This is a huge undertaking, and it wouldn't be possible without the help of coordinators. So can you talk about first of all, what does a coordinator do for this program?
A coordinator is very crucial to this program because they act as a liaison between the student interns, to the business partners, and to the county. Okay. So they're actually the middle person that would communicate with all three areas. Okay. They're in charge of making sure that the intern goes to work on a regular basis, enters their time and their time card and get their approval. And if they have any issues, it is something that the student intern should go and talk to them. At the same time, the business partners also go and address their concerns to the coordinator. So it's very, very crucial. And most of these coordinators are counselors. They come from the school districts, they're teachers, they're counselors in the area, and so they know how to deal with the youth and most of the time they're your teachers. So they're very, very important. And we actually assign 20 interns for each coordinator. So you can imagine how many coordinators we will be starting with, because if we're having 1,200, that would be about 60. So it moves on and goes on.
Yeah. So the coordinators are critical. And if you are a teacher or someone who works with young people, supervision of young people at a community organization or something, and you just have a heart for young people and a passion to work with them, this is a great opportunity for you to have some employment in the summer. We've talked about students. I don't know if we've mentioned, but if someone's not familiar with the pay for students this year, it is $15 an hour. And so how much are coordinators expected to make?
Sí, es exactamente lo mismo que el año pasado, son $25 por hora.
Correct.
Okay, so $25 an hour for coordinators. If it sounds like something you're interested in, you would do the same as the business partner and the student internship and go to our website at
www.doñaanacounty.org/student intern. And the application form is under the coordinator.
Okay. Now, you mentioned you had already received over 1,300 student applications. How many coordinator applications have you received?
As of this morning, we have 72.
Again, just as we said with the students, though, it doesn't mean that everyone will finish the process. Life happens. Sometimes people's plans change, or they're not exactly able to commit what's required, which they will learn more about that in orientation. But coordinators are so critical to this process. And I just remember last year, we would have people say, call us with questions, and we would say, your coordinator will be calling you. Your coordinator can answer those questions. They really are your go-to in this program, and we couldn't make it possible without them. So if there's a more specific question about coordinators and that didn't fully address your question, please send us another question. But yes, we need coordinators. Just with anything, everything is a numbers game. Whatever number of something you need to get more than that, because life does happen. So please don't be discouraged by the fact that we've already received 72 applications. If you're interested in being here and serving our young people, as our student application goes up, that number goes up, the number of coordinators we need continues to go up. So thank you all for being interested in serving in that way. All right, so I think that's all the questions, and we're a little over 30 minutes. I like to keep these around 30 minutes. So if you all, let's talk about orientation, the dates, because we talked about that was coming up, and you have different opportunities to come to orientation. How many orientations do we have scheduled this year, Lani?
A lot. Too many to count right now, but we're having orientations as early as May 15.
Okay.
And these are, this will be a great orientation for those graduating seniors, because we can make you place your work on the 26th or even sooner. So it's on May 15. And then we are going to the school districts. I understand sometimes it's difficult for the Gadsden School District students to come into Las Cruces. So guess what? We are going to Gadsden. So for those who are in the Chaparral area, we'll be there on the 23rd, and that would be in the library.
Well, hold on. So, Lani, just to keep you from running through it all, because I know everyone watching this is sitting there with pen and paper, but just know that you don't have to. We're going to post all of the orientation sites for you following this conversation. So please find the one that best fits you. But I do want to clarify, May 15th is specifically for those graduating seniors. So that's one that, should others try to come to that one if they're not a graduating senior?
As long as they have their I-9 documents or their waiver permits to work, yes, we'll take them.
Okay.
And we're also trying to contact those that have been requested by the business partners, because they've already been matched, and that you will be hearing from us through your email that we would like you to do the May 15 orientation. The schedule is going to be on your onboarding. So it'll be a letter or through your email, and it would have the list of orientation.
Okay, so Sandra, how are they going to find out after this call about orientations?
De varias maneras. Va a estar un horario de lugares para orientación en su carta de bienvenida y ustedes nos van a ayudar a poner la información en inglés y en español en nuestra página de Doña County. Si toman ventaja del día que vamos a la comunidad, está perfecto, pero si pierden ese día, porque solo vamos un día a cada comunidad, son bienvenidos de atender cualquiera que les quede cerca. Entonces, si no pudieron ir a la de Chaparral o a la de Santa Teresa, chequen el calendario porque pueden asistir a cualquiera.
Very good. So yes, we're trying to make this as simple as possible for everyone. So if we don't have any more questions, and I don't see any more coming in right now, but just because this conversation is ending live does not mean your questions have to stop. So we monitor our webpage. I'm sure you've interacted with us before if you've seen us on the page. So feel free, still send your question. You may be watching this in replay. It's okay. Send your questions in. We will make sure that we get an answer for you and respond. But the overall message for this chat is we are excited to be back for year number 3 in partnership. Funding is provided by the New Mexico Public Education Department, and we are just proud that they continue to honor us with the ability to bring this program to our community. I want everyone to know Doña County is talked about across the state because we have consistently exceeded the numbers that we were planning to place each year. And so NMPED is proud to continue to invest in our community in that way. And that's because of you all. That's because of the students who did such a fabulous job, the businesses who are willing to support our students and partner with us as a county, and our coordinators who really are the glue to this process. And so I want to just give a shout out to everybody who's involved in this process. You all are just knowing your application is submitted, but we have a tiny but mighty team behind the scenes that is processing all of these applications and going through them one by one and putting in long hours to make this program happen in a very short period of time, I might add. And so I just want to publicly say to you guys and everybody on the team, awesome job you're doing. Of course, the Public Information Office is here to support however we can. And we look forward to getting our students working all over Doña County this summer.
You bet.
All right. So you guys have any closing remarks?
No, I encourage everybody to sign, be it a business partner, a student intern, or a coordinator. Go to our website, doñanacounty.org/summer intern, and apply.
Just thanking everyone for making this one a reality. We did it the first year, and because the response was amazing, that's why we continue. So continue supporting the county, your students, and your business. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. All right, so that'll be it, and we will sign off. Goodbye, Doña County. Until next time.
Goodbye.
Until next time.